You know what's funny about being a wildlife photographer? I can spend hours in my car perfectly still, waiting for an eagle to land on the right tree branch. That kind of patience I've got. But ask me to compose a landscape shot, to look at a mountain or a waterfall and find the story inside it, and that patience doesn't always help. That's a different skill. And for a long time, I just didn't have it. Before I left home, I sat down and thought about what I was actually walking into. This was a landscape photography workshop. One day, the instructor's name was Aaron, and it was out in one of my favorite places, the Ozark Mountains of Missouri. I packed my camera and a few wide lenses, nothing exotic. I left my super zoom lenses on the shelf. This wasn't really about gear. This was about going somewhere I had been avoiding and actually doing the work there. Wildlife photography has a built-in structure of its own. You find the animals, you're patient, wait for the moment. The subject tells you when the shot's going to happen. But landscape work is different. And for me, that's where things get uncomfortable. I want to get better. So I packed the bag, I loaded the car, and I headed out for the Ozarks. The Ozarks are just a ridge after ridge of hardwood forest, green and thick, rolling. It's quiet country, the kind of place where you can feel the scale of things. But down below those ridges, there's water everywhere. Creeks are cutting through the limestone shoals, small falls. That's where we'd be spending the afternoon. And that's where everything I learned that day would either stick or it would fall apart. Aaron Cooper, the owner of Aaron Cooper Photography, was our instructor, and with a little orientation, we jumped right into the class.
My photography started when I was 13, actually here at Boy Scout camp.
And he got into it quickly. It was clear from the start that Aaron thinks about landscape photography in a particular way.
I think for me, and it's actually kind of in my mission statement of my business, is I like to capture those things that people may never be able to see.
You know, there's a reason why we always stop and get that sunset or whatever. Obviously, we want our viewer to see what we're seeing. You guys are all.
It's not as a hunt for perfect conditions, but as a conversation with what's already in front of you.
The storytelling, you know, that emotion piece of it is like, you know, you can take a picture just like even of the texture in the ceiling. You know, same way when you're outside, look for that. Obviously water, rock formations, sand, mud, leaves. You just look for those little things. Composition, we're gonna talk more about this, but even there, like, start looking for those leading lines. You know, it could be just the trail. You know, I don't know how many times, like, left and right of the trail, trees are just straight. And there's like this little bit of one-off tree in the middle. It's always kind of neat. You know, reflections are always fun.
So to put all this together, you know, how do you decide what a good composition feels like?
You're using the composition to funnel your viewer's eye.
He talked about composition and not just the rule of thirds. Most photographers know about that, but how to use natural lines in a landscape to guide a viewer through the frame. A stream, for instance, a creek doesn't just flow, it moves the eye.
It's easy to get in the transition to like a waterfall. You got a waterfall going through it. It's really easy. Okay, sure, that waterfall is your scene, but then you have all this busyness as well. And then, so you got to like make your compositions where you're taking out the distractions.
From foreground to background, from near to far. And if you position yourself right, then the water becomes a road that pulls the viewer straight into the image.
So that's sort of how you decide if a scene's worth shooting or not.
Take your bag off, pull your camera out, and take that photo. that's the best time.
Yeah, I really like what you said about just having a cup of coffee, sitting there and looking at the scene.
He talked about layering, foreground, midground, background, how to be intentional about creating depth, how to make the image feel like a place that you can walk into,
Good question. I was trained.
how to slow down your shutter speed. Half a second, a full second, the water becomes something else altogether. Silky, misty, movement that you can feel but not quite touch.
So what's the single most common mistake that you see landscape photographers make?
I don't know, maybe not planning out the shots maybe. That's probably the biggest one. Because you can go into technique, you go into gear, but if you're not, I mean, sometimes you can get there, take pictures of like this cool, this cool thing. The first one that comes to my mind is Hawks Wheel Trail, famous area in Arkansas. Everybody's probably been there taking pictures. Middle of the day, everybody's taking pictures. But then if you wait till that night, you're either gonna have a really cool moon coming over, you're gonna have a cool sun, you're gonna have something cool, wake up in the morning. And so, believe it or not, journaling, writing down ideas, things you want to take picture of, things you think would be a great photo. Areas, hey, this would be cool, I need to watch for that. Anybody can take a good picture, but it's what you're taking a picture of and the time you do it.
The biggest mistake I see people making, and that I make myself, is not taking the shot. Not getting off your big fat couch and getting out there and doing it.
Was out there, it was supposed to be cloudy, and it was cloudy at the rise, and then it came through all those clouds for about 10 minutes, and then went away.
Yes.
And I got it, but I was glad I went, but normally I would not have, and people were trying to talk me out of it and said, oh, it's gonna be cloudy, and I was like, what if it comes through? It's still
My big takeaway from the workshop was what really matters in landscape photography. What matters is what you want the viewer to feel. And that's the landscape photographer's question. Not what setting should I use, but what do I want to say? And I think this is going to radically change the way that I try to record images in the future. The time came for our field exercise, which was a short hike down to a creek. I walked with Molly, a portrait photographer, listening to our conversation.
You normally do.
I do a lot of portraits, senior portraits. Right now I'm trying to do a new thing for me. I call it legacy portraits. So think high school senior portraits for over 70. So like it's the over 70 crowd doing what they love. So I've done a lady who quilts, and she had a quilt that we used it as the backdrop, and
so cool.
she paints, and I have one coming up who loves flowers. I love landscape. I do a little real estate, some light painting.
So have you done these kind of workshops before?
I have. Yeah, I'm a member of Professional Photographers of America,
Yeah.
Missouri Photographers, Professional Photographers. So I love learning, always learning.
What have you gotten the most from this morning?
What I've been most interested in is the gear, the backpacks and tripods, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not really a hiker,
Yeah.
and my husband is, but I'm not. So
Yeah.
taking gear with me is always awkward. And
I was as nervous as I was excited to try my own hand at this. So I went down to the creek where the water was running over the rocks, took different photos of the shoals there. I worked through the shoals for a while here, moving the tripod, adjusting my position, getting lower than felt comfortable, using the lines of the stream bed the way that Aaron had described it. And somewhere in there, I stopped thinking about it and I just started seeing it. I moved over to the waterfalls, and there I was playing with shutter speed, trying to soften the water as it came off of the rocks. What would be the difference when it was a faster shutter speed and freezing the movement of the water, or slowing down the shutter speed and letting the water get that silky look? And I played with textures. I was surprised at how quickly the light can change and shift, even making little subtle things like this leaf to pop out or to blow out. It goes back to the lesson that my classmate Danny was saying. The biggest mistake landscape photographers often make is to not take the shot because the moment changes and then it's lost. And I got really low taking some photos of these rocks. And then when I turned around, almost a peephole underneath the waterfall was this picture. This scene of the water just sort of flowing down through a hole that I would not have seen had I not been laying low. It turned out to be my favorite shot of the day.
Well, it's been a long day. It's been a long time since I sat in a classroom all day long and forgot how tiring that can be. But it was a good day. A lot of good people and photographers that are just getting started, photographers that have been in the business for 50 years. And I learned so much from each one of them. As I said at the beginning of the video, landscape is one of my huge weak areas. But today has given me more confidence, both from the classroom instruction, from Aaron, comments from the other students, and then we went out and did a short walk, did some landscape photography at a little creek with a couple of waterfalls and some shoals, and that was a lot of fun. I have 3 takeaways that I'll be going home with, and then one bonus one. The first one was, when you're looking at the composition, look at it from the angles, not only with leading lines and edges, but also from the highs and the lows, and see what each angle might look like. Another really good tip that Aaron gave was, when you first arrive at a place, don't get so quick about setting up all your gear and to start taking photos, but he suggested to stop and have a cup of coffee and just sit and look before you even start trying to think about the composition. What's interesting? What catches your eye? I like that. Another suggestion that he had was to journal. And I hadn't thought about it this way before, but he talked about when you're out somewhere to look around and start to journal and get the idea of what you might want to come back to in the future and take another opportunity to do some photos. That's a great idea. He talked about the importance of first aid, and I've always carried a first aid kit, but Aaron suggested to take a wilderness first aid class. Something that I really haven't ever done. I've taken first aid classes with the military, but as far as one specifically for hiking and wilderness, you never know when you're going to get hurt. And to have a good first aid kit is one thing, but to know how to use it, I think a wilderness first aid course would be a really good idea. And then I asked what the biggest mistake landscape photographers make. One of my fellow students, also named Danny. Danny has been a photographer for 50 years. And he said that the biggest mistake that he has seen is to not take the shot. For whatever reason, when you have the opportunity, it may not be the best photo that you'll ever take, but if you don't take the shot, you won't have that one either. Great advice, born out of experience. Aaron did leave us with a challenge. And the challenge is this: to go someplace and get a sunset, a Milky Way shot, and a sunrise. All in the same outing. So that's my goal.
We were going to do a sunset shot, but the rain came in. And I won't pretend that the timing was great. The sunset over the Ozark ridgeline would have been the kind of shot that just makes the day feel like it's complete in its own terms. But here's the thing. Rain is a part of it. It's part of being outside. It's part of the work. I packed up without a sunset, and I was okay with it because what I had was already enough to show you something different, something real. My drone gave me what the weather took away, perspective. The Ozarks from 100 feet above is a completely different experience than the Ozarks at creek level. Both are true. Both tell part of the story. And the creek images gave me something I wasn't expecting. It was evidence that the workshop worked. What Aaron had said about leading lines and layering and asking what do I want the viewer to feel, it had all translated into these images.
In the near future, I'll be out in the dark skies somewhere to capture that sunset, to get the Milky Way as it rises over the southeastern sky, and then to cap it all off with an epic sunrise. So until the next time, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, stay on the path, and God bless you.